Marcellus, in your book, Never Shut Up, which you should go out and buy, you talked about Brad Blank, your agent, Lee Steinberg, your agent, and going back to Brad Blank. I believe Drew Rosenhaus gets certain players, particularly emotional ones, and maybe not the most attentive to detail, gets them in bad contracts because he knows he can talk them into having a tantrum and going to war with their team and fixing the contract later. I think Antonio Brown was put into a series of bad contracts in Pittsburgh, and that he had to force his way out to fix a bad contract in Pittsburgh. Not in his client's best interest, it's in Drew Rosenhaus's best interest.
I will have to do a little more in-depth research to the contracts to respond to that. Right. But I will say this. What he's highlighting is not all players are out for rings. Some players are just out for money. I told you from day one, I never thought about a Super Bowl championship. One, it was out of my control. There were games where I had tremendous games and tremendous sacks. We lose a game. Yep. There's games I didn't do a damn thing. We win the game. There's seasons when I was balling out of control. Oh, well, you're not going to make the playoffs. There's seasons I didn't do as much. Well, we in the playoffs. So I never made that my goal because it was an interdependent goal. I kept my blinders on. I was going to play as well as I could. That was going to get rewarded, and everything else was going to come from that. Antonio Brown's of that mindset. Sometimes it comes later in your career. Sometimes it comes earlier. That said, AB didn't prove that players have power. He actually proved the opposite. He proved that you got to throw a tantrum, get out of character, change your identity, burn up the entire home, and still be at the mercy of a team that says, we may trade you or we may keep you depending on what we get for you. If that's not the definition of powerless, and I'm not calling out AB, I'm calling out every other player that thinks that this is going to work again, be careful, because once you're done, there's going to be carnage from all the stuff that you have to do just to get in that position.
I think it worked. What he did worked for him. As far as power, I wouldn't call it power. I think what he did worked for him in that situation because of who he was. They got a third and a fifth round. Who would have said that all they would have had to give up was a third and a fifth round? Arguably the
Giants is hot right now.
Right. But arguably for the best receiver in the league, especially after seeing what they got for OBJ over there. Like, come on. So in that, mindset, then, yeah, he was able to, like he said, get where he wanted to go in
financially.
Yeah, financially, but I don't know if it's going to translate to the possibility of the rings he could have had in Pittsburgh.
As long as we don't have guaranteed contracts, we don't have the leverage.
No question.
Be honest.
Fully.
The organization is always going to have the leverage over us because they can just cut you, right? And that's why guys try to get as much money as possible in that guaranteed signing bonus, because that is the only thing that is guaranteed to you. Because a lot of us has been through it. We've been cut when we've been owed money. It's a terrible feeling. It's not a good feeling. So until we get guaranteed contracts, which is going to be a big deal when the new CBA is up, and that's where I think the players will have the power to, because they're going to have to strike. They're going to have to hold out for a certain period of time in order for them to get the guaranteed contract.
The first couple of years where the money is guaranteed, like, yeah, it's a Mexican standoff. We both holding each other. After that third year is gone, your gun is down, and they still got the pistol on you.
And you're getting older.
Right. Exactly.
And again, I know people need to look more in depth, but AB should be asking Drew Rosenhaus, I'm the best receiver statistically of the last 3, 4, 5 years. How was I ever in this position where I had no guaranteed money with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
That's crazy.
How did I get in this situation?
I think for AB, it got to that situation because it was like, what money am I going to get right now? When you're young, it's like, what I'm going to get right now? What can you get me right now? And since he was under a contract that wasn't, to the value of what he was giving them, it was like, okay, we'll push a little bit to you more, a little more to you right now. And he's like, okay, I get this right now,
Yeah. It's interesting.
When they don't have to. So it's looking like I don't have to do this, but I'm being nice and I'm doing this. I'm giving you this money up front instead of making you wait to get it.
Yeah, money can't buy you everything. And one thing that AB has lost is the power to be an ambassador for one of the storied franchises, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can say that he's going to divide that between Pittsburgh and Oakland, but it won't be the same. Strahan, everyone sees Strahan now and says, oh, amazing. I remember like in 2000, Strahan was signing short deals. He was at the top of his game. 4 years, $32 million. People were like, you could get more. You get longer years. Strahan knew that $32 million was coming to me. I was going to get all 4 of those years. What he also did is he stayed with one franchise. Top of the game player stayed at one franchise, went out with a Super Bowl ring, and blah. And all I'm saying is to AB, it may be a little short-sighted to take all the money right now and not be that guy anymore in terms of Pittsburgh Steelers lore.
I go back. That conversation you just had is a conversation Drew Rosenhaus or whoever the hell his agent should be trying to explain to him the long-term vision for his career and a vision for his salary. And a lot of times, I'm just sorry, when you have that powerhouse agent that represents 100 players, he's trying to serve 100 rather than just a handful. And a lot of times, players get screwed over in that endeavor.
You look at Le'Veon Bell's situation, right? He held out for that whole year, and Le'Veon Bell did more than just play running back, right? He accounted for almost 50% of that offense, right? But when it came time to negotiate, what did the team do? They wanted to box him in into a running back category. He was a workhorse for that team. He caught the ball out of the backfield. He was the second most targeted
suspended
player.
Twice. He undermined his leverage.
He was the workhorse. Was he not the workehorse?
But you know when
he was available when he wasn't
they're going to beat you up in negotiations on that. And you know how the game is. Like,
Le'Veon's another guy that he needs to question his agent. Again, we put all the blame on the team. The NFL. Sometimes
agent can only do what the player allowed him to do.
And they work for you. They're your employee.
At the end of the day, if my agent brings me something, I'm like, that's not going to work. I'm telling him that's not going to work. Tell them that's not going to work. We're not going to go with that. If he says that's all we can do, then all right, that's all you can do. Maybe I need to go with somebody else.
You do understand that not every NFL player has your mindset, your strength, or convictions, and that some guys get taken advantage of.
But ignorance is no excuse. You got to have some standard, some code of ethics. You have to know this person works for me, works under me. I know the relationship and perception seems like we work on the same level, or they actually.
This is how it goes.
It's not how it goes.
When you want to say something that's going to be took the wrong way to the team, or you want to say something that you know is going to be wrong, you put it through your agent and let your agent say it. That way, he looks like the bad guy. When you don't want to sign something, your agent don't want you to sign it. You know, everything is through him, but you're directing him on what to say and what to do.